Hey parents, this is Mr. Waite, and I wanted to make you guys a quick guide on how to solve division problems using the partial quotients method. This is the method that we've introduced this week to the students in order to solve longer division problems. And the reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of times at this time of the year, when we start using this method, I get a lot of concern from parents who are maybe used to using the long division as a method to solve these kinds of problems, and so they don't feel comfortable helping their students if their students need help with like a homework assignment or something else. So I wanted to show you a couple quick examples of solving division problems with the partial quotients method. So here we go. The first problem I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dividend of 84 and a divisor of 4. So I'm going to do 84 divided by 4. Whenever we have a division problem, I always tell the students what they're trying to figure out is how many groups can I make? In this case, the question is how many groups of 4 can I make out of my dividend? We use mental math to start making groups. Can I make 10 groups of 4 out of my dividend? Well, yes, 10 groups of 4, 10 times 4 is 40. I do have enough for that. So I would tell them, go to the next mental math problem. Can I make 20 groups of 4 out of my dividend? 20 times 4 is 80, so yes, I do have enough to make 20 groups of 4 out of 84. I usually have them go, even though I think we all know 30 groups of 4 is going to be too much, I still have them kind of do a mental check, and just to make sure that, like in this case, 30 groups of 4 would be too much, just so they know they didn't make too few groups. So 30 groups of 4, in this case, it'd be 120, which would be too much. We don't have enough of a dividend to make 30 groups of 4. So our first partial product would be 20. We can make 20 groups of 4. And now we just have to see what's left over. 20 times 4, 20 groups of 4 is equal to 80, which means that of my dividend that I started with, I still have 4 left over after making my 20 groups. So their job is to keep going, keep using this method until they can't use any more of their dividend. We have 4 left over, and so I would ask the same question again. How many groups of 4 can I make out of 4? Well, in this case, obviously the answer is going to be 1 group, right? 4 times 1 is 4, and I'm going to have nothing left over, so that would be no remainder. So in this case, I was able to make 20 groups of 4, and then I made 1 more group, so we'll get a final quotient of 21. So 84 divided by 4 is equal to 21. The students know I expect them to check a division problem like this with multiplication. So to check, you would do 4 times 21, and you should get back to what you started with, your dividend of 84. I'm going to show you one more example of a 3-digit dividend divided by a 1-digit divisor. So I'm going to do 429, and we're going to divide that by 8. So I'm going to start with the same question. This time we're asking how many groups of 8 can I make out of 429? So this one, obviously, we're going to be making more groups because we have our dividend is in the hundreds. So I'm going to start with the same place though. Can I make 10 groups? Easily, right? 10 times 8 is 80. So can I make 20 groups of 8? Yes. 20 times 8 is 160. Can I make 30? Yes. Can I make 40 groups? Yes. Can I make 50 groups of 8? Well, 50 groups of 8 would be 400. Again, I'm going to go what I think is going to be over, just to check. 60 groups of 8 would be 480, right? Because 6 times 8 is 48, so 60 times 8 is 480. That's too much. I don't have a big enough dividend, so I'm just going to make 50 groups of 8. And I'm going to see what's left over of my dividend after I take out those 50 groups. 50 times 8 is 400. 9 minus 0 is 9. 2 minus 0 is 2. 4 minus 4 is 0. So I took out a big chunk of my dividend, right? 50 groups of 8. And I still have 29 left over. So again, you kind of start the process over. 29 divided by 8. How many groups of 8 can I make out of 29? So this is pretty simple, right? That's just knowledge of their division facts, because we can make 3 groups at most. 8 times 3 is 24, so I'm left with 5 of my dividend that's still remaining. And I think the kids are going to know that this is a remainder, because I can't make any more groups of 8 out of my leftover 5 without making a fraction, and we don't do that in 4th grade. So altogether, I made 50 groups. I took out 50 groups. I took out 3 more groups. So in all, I made 53 groups. And again, in this case, we had 5 leftovers, so you would say 53R for remainder, 53 remainder 5. I hope this makes sense to you. I wanted to again show you this, and the reason why we use this method is because conceptually I think it's a lot better for the kids to understand, just like how we say math is really repeated addition, right? If you're doing 6 times 5, it's really just like you're adding 5 groups of 6, or you're adding 6 groups of 5. It's the same way with division. Division is really just repeated subtraction, right? You have a dividend and you're subtracting groups until you've used up your entire dividend. So conceptually, I feel like the partial quotients method is really good for the kids to use. Plus, it gets them really fast at those mental math problems that we were using, like 20 times 8 and 30 times 8 and 40 times 8. Those are all mental math problems that they should know using their knowledge of their math facts. I hope that was informative and not too long. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in contact with me. Thank you very much.